Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Major Samartur, and today I bring you the consequences and the in-depth, the on-ground reporting as to what has actually happened in Nepal. So, as an opening address, Nepal, known to the world for its Himalayas and rich cultural heritage, is once again caught in the storm of political unrest. Protests have erupted across the country, fueled by frustration over governance, corruption, and economic hardships. The streets of Kathmandu echo with voices demanding change, while the government struggles to maintain order. But this crisis is not just about politics, ladies and gentlemen. It touches on identity, regional balance, and the tug of war between powerful neighbors like India and China. In today's episode, we deep dive into the roots of Nepal's turmoil, the forces shaping it, and where the nation might be headed next. And before we get to that, I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Gracie Ronier. And Mrs. Gracie Ronier, please could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Namaskar. Good evening. A very good evening from Nepal. Reporting live from Kathmandu all the way. मेरा नाम ग्रेस रोनियार है. I am an active trader and investor in the Nepal stock market since early 2016s. So after I finished my master's from outside Nepal, I came back and joined my family business. That's how we started. So, actively saying, I am involved in the Nepal's finance scenario. I am currently leading a few investment ventures, a private equity firm, and a few other humanitarian causes myself. So, this is how, uh, being a younger generation, a very few handful of people have come back from attaining our education outside Nepal and come back having that emotion of the country saying nahi yahi pe kuch karna hai, so we came back. Hence, diving right into the topic, this is directly obviously related to us, indirectly obviously related to many of us outside the country as well. So, whatever has happened in the past few days, whatever things have unrolled, has taken a toll on a multitude of levels that people will take a lot of time to even endure, understand, and expect what to expect, literally probably address what to expect and how to address even their own emotions is one basic thing. We're still amidst the chaos. A lot of things have happened, a lot of things need to happen. Probably let's dive into it more deeper. On to you, Sama.
Okay. Okay, so I did an episode yesterday which was connecting the dots. So
Hmm.
Gracie, in that, I don't want to, take too long about it. But if you see the chronological order and the recent events, so Americans have been actively been involved in all the conflicts in the world recently.
Yeah.
It began with the Israel-Gaza conflict. It spread out to Syria, where
Hmm.
Americans were definitely involved. Saudi Arabia went, did mediation, got Syria what it wanted, and peace with Americans. Then came Iran, where
Yeah.
again US intervened. Israel again went against Iran. And then, there is a very deep connect between the tug of war between Russia, China, and the West,
Yeah.
which is represented by USA. So if you see, Pakistan recently Op Sindoor took place, and after that, how Field Marshal Asif Munir was appointed the Field Marshal despite heavy losses to the Pakistan forces, and he being invited constantly by President Trump to US has definitely given the game away that yes, Pakistan has fallen to the hands of the American deep state. Number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, what went wrong with Sri Lanka that it went into debt and Chinese played the exact game that it is played with Nepal. Then coming to Maldives, again China fueled the Maldives government to become pro-China. And there has to be a balancing factor everywhere in every country. And keeping that in mind, you see again the president of Maldives and the prime minister again had to invite Prime Minister Modi back to create that balance of power in its own country, as it was totally tilted towards China. Then,
Mm-hmm.
as you and I know what happened with Bangladesh. So
Absolutely.
coming back and cutting things short, what are the similarities that you feel in the pattern that has happened with Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Bangladesh, and now Nepal? How do you connect the similarities, and what were the common anomalies that led to this situation? And what triggered it, we will come later. But as far as
Yeah.
the economical point of view is concerned, which is your field of expertise, where where were the telltale signs?
First of all, Sama, I would like to really put on, yeah, the tug of war of, America being America, I mean, USA being USA, China being China, plus there are a lot of other powers that have been trying to, play its part. Let's put it like that. Play its part in this whole pull and tug of war sort of situation. USA being USA, it has had its so-called, fund rollout projects called MCCs that were trying to, really put a leg in a, say, country, say. So Zimbabwe was one for where they first tried this game a decade back, but it did not succeed, obviously. Then China took over. There were a lot of things. Now China is probably the largest debtor, I mean, the biggest debtor to Zimbabwe, right? So that's one. Having said that, the second point is Sri Lanka did deny MCC, and look where it ended. That is a big, that was a statement. I think it was printed in one of the headlines of our country's daily newspaper on the front line, because
So
we were
MCC
actually, so
MCC
we,
is a means of aid or a
yeah,
help
so,
being
so
rendered by the Americans,
yeah, yeah,
right?
it's a give and take sort of a project. So it will bring in funds, I mean, massive funds, like 900 billion US dollars sort of funds, that huge, over a period of time, say 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, so that period of time. But then in exchange to that, there are a list of negotiable things that they have presented that they want to negotiate with our country. And those lists includes, I mean, it's numerous. That will be another, maybe say, 2 hour episode on that. And that is definitely not my cater point. But a few things of what I understand, they want a space where American army could probably put its base and place in Nepal. And that is literally like, giving away a piece of our land to America, because that would never be returned, of course. And that would probably be the seed to where they would expand.
The military
And that
bases, basically.
that that would be even more scarier to India and China. I don't know what it could be looking like.
I mean, what else would the US use that land for other than military bases? I mean, they've
Yeah.
they've done it in the Philippines, they've done it in Japan,
No, so
they've done it in the Gulf.
it did also mention that they would, so in, because they would build in the front funds to bring in infrastructure development, hydropower projects, XYZ. I mean, a lot of things were there. But instead, our focus, the generation of our group right now, this was roughly 1.5 2 years back. So that was the point of dialogue everywhere, where people were questioning, why would we give or take MCC when we're already doing well? You know, the development is definitely very slow in Nepal. It's really slow. It's almost like a snail's speed. But we are in progressive state. We are not in a digressive state right now. So we actually do not need to take funds like that and put ourselves in trap, was definitely one of the early learned lessons. A second, we had seen the best example of China, and that was exactly when even China had brought in a project where it would lend us money, bring in a really good development project in Nepal, build the roads, the infrastructure, the buildings, XYZ. And the government started, really playing out with both the projects, and both the projects being aware of each other. There was a lot of conflict going on even back then. So, Oli's government did actually have a lot of loopholes even back then. Looking at it like that, from a very bird's eye view, it does look very fishy, it looks really fishy. There were a lot of news being, bribes taken, this, that. A lot of things were happening even back then. So, whatever has happened was not something that happened today, just one morning everyone woke up and this happened. No, it was not. It was definitely something that boiled since many years. It took us many years to get here. So that's how things unfolded. And definitely America has obviously been trying to play its part. Even China has been trying to play its part. India has been trying to take its stand because we share borders. So definitely that is there. The balance was always, in the past few years, we've seen the government sway from China to India to US in a very different way, So that was not stable.
So
And that,
basically, what you're trying to imply is that uh, the Chinese brought in the business in Nepal,
yeah.
but right from a needle right down to the labor was
Yeah.
all Chinese. So are you trying to imply that one of the major reasons for unemployment was that Mr. Oli accepted large number of projects and handed them over to the Chinese and subcontracted it to the ministers of the ruling government? Was that the
Um,
case?
so in a way, there were a lot of negotiations and funds accepted from Nepal government, from China government to Nepal government, but that was the case post earthquake. So 2016, when the 2016 earthquakes happened in Nepal, a lot of our heritage properties were damaged. Heritage UNESCO properties sites were damaged. Um, it is astonishing to see, as a young generation person living in Nepal. Now the projects have been restored, and out of, say, not that the count is 10, but then out of, say, 10 projects, at least 5 of them are rebuilt by China, and they have China aid labels even now, after being rebuilt and handover.
But
Yeah,
that's
it is.
something
It's
sacred
quite.
and
Yeah,
religious, and it has
it
a
is more
special
heritage and cultural value.
sentiment, yes.
Yeah.
And with the Chinese putting the plaques on these heritage sites, isn't it not a bit offensive in terms of sentiments, religious sentiments, and the
So,
attachment to these monuments?
it was definitely a question, because there were questions like, if we could renovate it, or if someone else could do it, why not accept their funds and etc. But for Nepalese people, because we've had very limited opportunity, very, very limited opportunity staying in Nepal, because the government has been proven to be quite corrupt in many ways. Their families or their near and dear ones take on the space, whilst the rest of public is let to, sacrifice or live the lower level of space that they're given, the very limited space. We are landlocked, so by each boundaries, we do not have that sort of facility where we can trade openly seaways, waterways, or anyways. We're very landlocked. So the landing cost of goods are very, very high in Nepal. Anything that would land here could be probably facing customs from 40% to 320, 30, 40%. So if you see, basic example is a car. um, how आपके यहाँ नैनो गाड़ी कितने की होगी, मुझे ये बता दीजिए.
Nano would be in probably 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees.
हम्म. सो 2 लाख, सर चलो 2 लाख मानो. 2 लाख का नेपाली इज 3,20,000. 1.6 इज द रेट, एक्सचेंज रेट नेपाल टू इंडिया,
Okay.
राइट. सो 3.5 लाख हुआ. नेपाल में नैनो का प्राइस गेस करिए.
Um, Maximum it can be double the cost. I mean, 3.5 to 4 lakh rupees. I mean, 4 lakh is like 4 to 5 lakhs, not beyond five.
No, the starting range is 8.5 lakhs. Yeah.
That's beyond even half the mark. I mean,
300% tax on cars because cars are luxury in Nepal. 300%
but why do they consider it as luxury? Because it's a limited landlocked country, so they want to keep
because
a cap on.
we do not have manufacturing units of any cars or assembly units. Hence, ये सो एक नमक से लेके सिया सुई होता है सुई needle. Even
Needle,
that
yes.
is important. We do not have many manufacturing factories out here. It's very, very limited, you know. So we are talking, so literally in terms of that, A, we are landlocked. B, we have very limited younger generation people because we do not have the opportunities. So the problem is also that the younger generation are facing brain drain. Everybody who studies here, the younger generation, say after 11 or 12 class, their first priority is get a visa and go outside anywhere. Say Japan, Khadi bolte hain Nepal mein, so UAE and all of that distribution space. America, Australia, UK, these are the main hubs. Everybody from each household, there are one or two people outside Nepal. So हमारे लिए बैकअप ये है कि उनका रेमिटेंस पैसा आता है, you know. That's how Nepal is living right now. And that's exactly almost 60-70% of contribution of our budget is that.
So basically, Nepal is on the edge. I mean, if
Yeah,
you see it like that,
especially
uh,
in terms of youth, you know. We
yeah, they're
don't,
totally
we
dependent
call it
upon what the children
people.
go and earn outside.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how it's um, the landscape has been, especially in the past decade. Abhi bhi, there are news, like, you know, literal news where we see 30 to 40,000 people leaving the country every day. We see it at airport.
Every day,
Yeah.
30 to
Every,
40,000 people leaving
and
every
then,
day for
yeah,
abroad.
yes. सो लेबर का एक यहाँ पे ऐसा है कि नेपाल इज अ लेबर हब स्पेशली फॉर यूएई दुबई दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ बेल्ट where these people go in contract for a year, 2, 3 years. They build certain buildings, whatever they were meant to do for the project. They earn a very handsome amount of money in lakhs and crores, and then they come back with the saved money. And then they stay in for a few months, and then they go back again for 2 years. That's how it's been working, you know?
So, so Grace, I want to now let's come to the main factor. Like
Sure.
we've seen the basic social structure, mindset, the problems being faced economically, how China has dominated, how
Mm-hmm.
Prime Minister Oli has been manipulative and been favoring China. So I now want to come to one thing, that is, what were the main trigger points that got unrest to Nepal? What was that one certain trigger which started it all?
Um, See, I'll give you a gist of how it started 20 years back. So, when the king handed over the country and it became a democratic country roughly 22 years back, um, उस टाइम पे एक चुनाव हुआ, ठीक है?
Mhm.
And then, the first time ever, the new Maoist party was formed. They were literally called terrorist इससे पहले. UN के लिस्ट में वो terrorist के लिस्ट में थे तब तक because they were in the hiding in jungle. They had killed a lot. They had done mass killings before that. When the king left the power, because obviously they had pushed a lot of limits, that's exactly when um, you know, the power shift happened and people started believing कि नहीं, माओइस्ट ने ये बोला है कि सबको बार बार दिया है, हमको एक बार दो बोल के उनका नारा था. So that's when they started voting for Maoist. Maoist came into power. 5 years nothing happened. People were really let down. The first 5 years, it was a massive, like, down the hill sort of thing, you know, not even a
Because
single day.
earlier the Maoists, I recall, a lot of violence, a lot of killings,
Right.
a lot of
So the
terrorism all over Nepal. And
right,
once the Maoists got into power, then I mean the people said, okay, prove yourself now that we've got you in power.
right.
So they were not able to deliver basically. Even they
Yeah.
knew it.
Everyone knew it, but more than that, their intent almost looked like, filling the pockets was the main intention. A. That's how it started. The second term, then henceforth, the 20 years that I'm going to talk about, it's
Mr. Doeba came
always,
in.
so Deuba GI, that was Congress. So, it's been in alternate year, 2 year sort of prime ministers. So I probably am not right with the number. Anywhere to between 27 to 30 prime ministers have
Okay.
been changed.
Over these last 20 years.
Yeah, so that's the number we're talking about. Kabhi 2 mahine, kabhi 6 mahine, kabhi 1 saal. This was going on and on and on and on. Kabhi ye aaya iska government.
This was being rotated between which all
Four,
political parties?
four people, not parties, four people. That is
But
why this idea.
all the four people were from different parties.
Yeah. So,
Which all?
Sher Bahadur Deoba from Congress,
Okay,
right? There's KP Oli from Communist Party.
okay,
There was one more, but it was very short, like, Aya Gaya type ka jhat scene with Baburam Bhattrai, Dr. Baburam Bhattrai from the Maoist Party, and then the second being obviously Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda from the Maoist Party. So, these were the four to five more people, and that's exactly where the power was, like, literally hopping. ये नहीं कर पाए 3 महीने तो इसके बाद ये टाइप का it almost looked like that sort of a game. And it was not going very very well either. But since the past 3-4 years, at least there was a coalition government where people were trying to work it out. Even through COVID, there was a lot of up and down. They were trying to pull through a lot of things, but there was a lot of instability in other parts of the government. Say kabhi finance minister change ho rahe hain, kabhi ye change I mean, there was excessive of that. So the
okay.
changes have been constant. I mean, the changes were only the constant. That's how we speak.
So
That's
weren't the
exactly
people frustrated? Weren't like any telltale signs of what do the people do? I think it was the frustration and
right.
the corruption which actually
Right.
made the Gen Z lose it. But
So
again, I want you to come now to the main thing, that what was it that instigated this? And I have something to show the audience also. I will share
yes,
the
please.
screen. But before that, I want you to first start. What was the initiation point?
So obviously, the Gen Zs who were like literally babies 20 years back. They were toddlers. From right that point of time, they have seen firsthand struggle of their parents. Their parents have left the country, gone out, worked hard that money, brought back that money to give their children that education. That's, please remember this point. B, having said that, they have seen first-hand corruption going on. Like, आपको एक आइडेंटिटी कार्ड बनाना है, जाके आपको कुछ पैसा देना है, वो तुरंत बन जाएगा. उस टाइप का corruption, on multitude of levels for everything from like early childhood. So 20 years they have seen that, but nothing, right? That's one. Second point. Third is, they obviously, when kids start growing into certain age, say teenagers, past their teenagers, they have a natural human tendency to compare themselves. Like, आपने अच्छा किया है, you're speaking well, let me learn that language. If you're doing well, if you're bringing a certain car, oh, आपके parents ने बहुत मेहनत किया होगा, that sort of a thing. Which is very natural. It's good. People should have that. It's also a bhavna of competition in a way, which is good.
But but
But
now,
when that
yeah.
overpowers, that there is a very thin, fine line that defines ego, pride, a lot of other things. So what happened? What we know of the Gen Zs, how they started was a few weeks back. There were a few incidents. सो लिटरली जैसे ये चार मेन हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स थे, ऐसे बात करेंगे, सो आई थिंक देयर वुड बी 30 or 40 और वेरी नेमफुल मिनिस्टर्स, अदर मिनिस्टर्स एंड मेन प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स, एक्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर, फॉर्मर प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स, एवरीवन, जिनके सेकेंड जनरेशन से बच्चे have been on, obviously they are also Gen Zs, right? and they're
Yes.
around in the town, and they're trying to pose as Instagram influencers, right? That's where
Okay.
the main thing came in. When a normal middle class person's son or daughter, somebody like you and me, right? 10 years back, probably we would, if we would see something like that, they're trying to post and picture on their vacations, like, they're king's sons and daughters, and they've had a history of I don't know how many industries and stuff, posing with a lot of fancy materialistic thing that ended up in crores, not even lakhs. That was the trigger point. And probably one of them also were friends with this Generation Z's main founder. And something happened, some samvad, or sort of conversation had happened, where the son of the prime minister, former prime minister, disrespected this person because he came from a middle class family. It was very personal. That's when he decided, okay, let me make a list of these sort of people, because he also mentioned that, you are actually living and flaunting the taxpayers money. You guys are so corrupt. It's not your father's earning, it's my father's earning. Give that back to the country. And literally every word of it was true. How else would a person put it? That's when this group started forming a, say, cloud of younger generation with this boiling blood, which had already mounted quite much in the 20 years. It only needed the cherry on the top and icing. That's it. This influential lifestyle obviously put in together. Yeah, these were the pictures. So he got married a few months back, and that is the sort of quite lavish, I would say.
So you said that I believe in this, it is being said that छोरा ले चांदी को थाल dinner
Gartha.
garcha.
Yeah,
Garcha. So
yeah.
what does this mean? This is like
So it
they're
means
saying
that,
that they're eating food in
yeah,
silver utensils.
yeah.
So this was one of the, and he's the son of whom?
So he's the son of Prime Minister Deuba,
Oh,
son and daughter-in-law.
so you see, this was one
So
of the
there were
main
40,
photographs.
50, 40, 50 other pictures, but few of them being this. It was
Okay.
quite astonishing to see this.
I mean, yeah, I mean, a country getting destabilized by this one photograph. But I can reckon just, I mean, see the frustration that it had to take only this photograph to get things started, which
Yeah.
has approximately 23,000 likes, 1.5 thousand, you could say 1,500 comments and 1,500 forwards. I mean, I think
But,
this was the main.
I think this was almost the second or third person posting it. It's not the main person posting it, because their accounts were already down after the social media ban, because obviously there was a lot going on behind.
Hmm. So, I mean, they realized that they have faltered over here, basically.
I mean, I have no clue, because, you know, I think
I mean, these are the children of the politicians. I'm sure that they would
they're
have been
quite
briefed
down,
or.
they're ground, far away from the ground. They're not, definitely not in the ground for sure. That is something we could stand for.
I mean, I have one more photograph to show to the audience. Just a second.
Please do.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, until unless the people of India do not see this, probably they'll not realize that such things uh, can have very larger consequences.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I am awestruck. I am.
So the question the Generation Z obviously put in was, आपके पापा प्राइम मिनिस्टर होके 70-80 हजार कमाते हैं. right? Your
Hmm.
mother is the minister as well in the parliament panel, in
Hmm.
the cabinet as well. She
Hmm.
probably would be earning 50, 60,000, right?
Yeah.
Nepali. That's roughly, say, 40,000 IC.
This is
How can
another
you,
image.
yeah, and look at that Christmas tree. I mean, can you zoom into that, please, if you can?
Um, I mean, I about the zoom in, I can't. But wait, just a second. Let me just try this. I think this is the maximum. I'm sure that people can actually notice. So these are the branded gifts, basically.
I
I
mean, there
do
was
see the
another
I
picture to
do
that, but
see the Cartier bag, the Louis Vuitton, uh, and there are a few more. I think, yeah, there
would
are
you like
like
to
all
count?
branded.
We have the
Uh,
count in our hands now because it's
1, 2,
been
3, 4, 5,
reposted
6,
so
7,
many
8,
times.
10, 11, 12, 13. I think here, no, the post count is not there, but I mean, this gentleman again is a son of a politician of
Yeah,
the
he's a
ruling
son.
party.
I am not clear of what's his name, or whose son is he,
They
but
say he's
I
the
know
son of the Minister of
Thapa,
Law.
Thapa, Thapa, something Thapa.
Okay, okay, okay.
And he apparently posted a picture with this tree and his now girlfriend, who is the Miss Nepal,
Hmm.
and he was gifting these to her for one Christmas.
And this has been going on for quite a while.
And this is taxpayers' money. Imagine the amount. It was quite hilarious.
So it's basically the kids who spill the beans,
Well,
the corruption money, and
right,
the enjoying of a lifestyle, whereas your country is fighting for employment. A common man is not able to get jobs. People are leaving in the strength of thousands every day just to earn money and put food on the table for the families. And I think it was time for desperation, probably, which led to this.
right. It quite took us 20 years to get here, literally. But when this happened, it was almost like breaking hearts because we see our parents, we see our brothers, we see our cousins leaving the country every single time for, one of their jobs. And they
Mm.
come back only to meet their own child or their wives or their family for a few months. And whilst, this is what it takes to trigger probably because these kids go on vacation. There are a lot of other pictures which I can obviously put
I
into
mean,
words
I
where they
mean
have
that
taken to
those
vacation
previous
for
two
months
photographs, those previous two photographs
have resulted to this.
have resulted to this.
Bingo.
I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, the these were historical
Yeah,
assets
yeah,
and government properties. They were a symbol of heritage and
yeah,
culture, and it just took, I mean, what, matter of hours for them to just be wiped out.
yeah. But honestly
Imagine,
speaking,
imagine, imagine the desperation. I mean, I am not able to fathom that. I mean, so
yeah.
much had piled up into the youth.
Absolutely. I mean, where would these emotions go? Because we have no place to work, we have very limited access to a lot of things. And so what happened was, so this was the first event, right? Let me jump back to that. So these pictures contributed to a hashtag called Nepo Kids, like nepotism in Bollywood sort of a thing. Yeah, Nepo Kids. So Nepo Kids had been trending since the past 3 weeks, like trending on number one since 3 weeks. That probably called into one of the ministers or something had happened. We're not very clear on that perspective. Or the government probably one fine day woke up and decided that okay, 1 year had been given to all of these social media apps. Now let's ban it. So they started banning everything, and within 24 hours everything was out. We had access to no WhatsApp, no YouTube, no
I mean,
Instagram,
I
Facebook, nothing.
just, I just checked. I mean, this gentleman is wearing a watch worth $45,000,
Yeah,
Rolex.
apparently. So this is not his real post, but his real post also had the money tag. That's how
Oh,
Rolex with worth it so this much, So it even had that
so a $45,000 Rolex was put up
taxpayers'
by
money,
the Minister
taxpayers'
of
money.
Law.
Security.
I mean, that's corruption money. I mean,
Absolutely.
$45,000, even, I mean, definitely rich Americans can afford it, but any middle class, sane American who's earning a decent amount would rather invest this money in buying some property or an asset
Yeah,
rather than on a watch like this. I mean, and
yeah.
this is the money which is
It is very,
belonging to the Minister of Law.
it is very sad. So that's how you can actually say he's a minister of law. So one of the ministers is the cabinet. He's not even the prime minister. And imagine his kids would be doing something. And one picture had so much to say. There were 45, 50 odd other things.
I mean,
And everything has been taken down by the government now.
so you're trying to say that one of the major reasons for the government to have uh, put down the internet was to
It could
hide
be.
these
It could be.
posts.
It could be because it was very well intended and very well timed, But obviously, government had not quite thought of the outcomes of where it could lead. Obviously, there were return emails from, say, Twitter X saying, we would not register in a corrupt country like you. So that was the email that we received.
Okay, so you're saying that the Nepal government did put in applications to X
Yeah.
to stop the projection of these photographs, so as to
No, no.
stop the fueling of
So,
instigation.
no. So what it did was it banned everything: Twitter, Facebook. I mean, there were 23
So it
or
is quite imperative that PM Oli took a outright decision to ban the Western applications,
yeah.
whereas the Chinese applications were still
Oh,
online.
yeah. That's another talk of the town where everyone is like questioning, why is Viber only working? Why is TikTok only working? TikTok was banned in the country for almost 6 months or more than that in the past year. And now suddenly TikTok is the more important app. Why? It was a question.
What about WeChat? I mean, that's a replacement of
WeChat was
WhatsApp.
working. Was working.
So basically,
Only three
despite
apps were working. These one.
so that means despite banning these apps, people could still communicate and coordinate for these riots.
I'm sure maybe there was more to it, but that's how we could do the maths. Why would three of the apps of China or other countries not be banned, and then the rest of the world was banned when this was? So there were a lot of
So
questions.
there was a partial ban of
Yeah,
few applications of the West,
yeah, yeah.
and those were the applications which were used
On a
in a
day-to-day basis.
majority by the youth of Nepal.
Yeah. And a lot of people in our generation who have come back to the country wanting to do something here, the generation have opened up a lot of, like in India, a lot of online services where we have pages on Instagram or Facebook and we're selling a lot of business online services or other businesses. We have been paying tax for the same online
What
application whilst it was banned, I mean, that was exactly the trigger point for a lot of other people.
But then,
We've
what
been
is your
paying
take
second of that.
on Balendra Shah? What is your take on Balendra Shah? What is your take on he having American connections? Because we
Oh, yeah.
saw Bangladesh fall because of the American deep state. And in the end of August, recently, last week, 2 weeks back, there
Mm-hmm.
was a dead body of a serving special forces American officer in Dhaka.
Oh,
So they say that his involvement was there in the toppling of the Sheikh Hasina government, and
Wow.
coordinating and funding the money. In fact, today there were visuals of dollars being found in Nepal in few raids across Nepal. I mean, I will share that photograph. So these are worrying trends. I mean, these have been found openly today.
So
So,
I'm not
do you
quite aware.
feel? Do you
I'm not
feel
quite aware of the dollars.
Balen Shah?
This is not something that's circulated here, definitely. But since the 3 days, we've been really getting a lot of things. Can you share the picture first? Maybe we
Yeah,
could.
I am just sharing that photograph. Just a second. It's a image. So this is uh, just a second. Yeah. So this is the stash of money, which
Oh,
was
all right.
I believe 4.5 lakh Nepal currency and uh,
$200.
$2,500 as well.
Yeah. Okay, so what has happened is this is not raids, definitely. This one picture is from one of the ministers' houses where there were attacks yesterday, mobs yesterday, and when everyone entered the house. So the trend is obviously when anyone
Loot
enters the
and
house,
arson. Yeah.
लूट करके बाहर पूरा पैसा उड़ा रहे हैं. It's almost like money heist. किसी ने नेटफ्लिक्स का देखा है?
So
वही सीन है.
basically, so you're trying to
हर
say that the people were not looting money, but for the sake of it, they were just taking it out from the houses and throwing it onto the roads.
So there were both. Lootings did happen, right? But then there were 5 to 6 instances where, like, a lot suitcases of money were found, where people went to the terrace and, like, did lo sab loga yash karo type ka thing. Everyone had probably a few $100 or something left, and this is one of them. So this is definitely not raid hua or ye sab mila type ka. Ye American dollar or ye $2,500 is because Nepal has a limit when when you travel foreign country.
Hmm.
When you present the visa and the passport, you only receive $2,500. That's it. You cannot have any more. That's the limit in Nepal. So that's why probably that $2,500. And we do, I mean, every household does, keep 100, 200, $500 every time we travel abroad and come out back. We obviously don't return the money. So that is one of that. It's definitely not, US funding the money or any of that. This one, definitely nothing to do with that one. But with Palendra Shah, look, honestly, we really don't know whose roots belong to where, but with Balen, he has come out clean quite a lot of times, and he's really been there. He's not after the power, it seems. Even for today, when the Gen Z was calling him out, like, really come be our leader, be the next PM, even if it's, the interim government for a certain 6, 8, 10 months until the next elections happen. Please come into the government. He has constantly maintained that, things will work out further. We will, like, guide
But
you and
he's
lead
the
you. He's not.
gentleman. Grace. He's the gentleman who has instigated the crowd. His visuals have been constantly been seen everywhere on the television,
That's
and
because
and
he's proven his work. He has independently led the elections, won as the mayor of Nepal, as the mayor of
the
Kathmandu.
15th mayor of
Yeah,
Kathmandu.
and he has turned around Kathmandu like anything. The streets are
So,
clean.
so, so you're
The
trying to say
electricity
he
is there.
is not corrupt. He is a statesman, and he's
Yeah, he's
for the
definitely a
country.
statesman. He's definitely a statesman and definitely leading us for sure. Leading us by
So the
example and
crowds do
good
love
example.
him. The crowds of
I
Nepal do love him.
So honestly, I when the last elections happened, he was a very new name. The new name had just popped up 2 months before, 3 months before the elections, right? And a lot of people from the my area, finance area, stock markets were supporting him as well. And that was a question I was always asking, if this is a person who would really, live up to the name. And probably I was not too sure of them that back then. 2 years and my visuals, my understanding, my knowledge of him has changed 360 degrees. He has worked it to the roots. Whatever hand he puts on, he does it. बोलते ना काया पलट, इसने काया ही पलट किया है. It's that good.
So I am sharing now. This is who he is,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's
So he's an
him.
engineer by profession,
Okay, so he's an engineer by profession,
but
and
he also makes music. I mean, he's a rapper.
so so many people are blaming him for the unrest, and as
No,
we can
absolutely
read,
not. He has
Balendra
nothing to do.
Shah, known professionally as Balen, is a Nepalese politician and rapper who is currently serving as the 15th mayor of Kathmandu since
Yes.
2022. He is the
Yeah.
first independent candidate to be
Yes.
elected as the mayor of Kathmandu,
Yes.
born on 27th April 1990 with just 35 years of age. And his album, which has come, is called Yathartha,
Yeah.
and his company's record label name is Balen, and he
Yeah.
is a rapper and a hip hop singer.
Yeah.
So this is what it says. So
But he is
are you
somebody who,
sure? Are you sure he's a reliable person to? I mean, they're saying he's the next Zelensky. Nepal could be the next Ukraine between the Chinese and the Americans. It's going to be a turf war between the CIA and the MSS, and CIA is in hand in glove with the ISI, the Pakistan ISI, because yes, ISI is quite active and present in Nepal over the years. So, what is your take? I mean, how are the people of Nepal responding to these kind of queries? I wouldn't say allegations, but these are questions. How are
these are
you?
very valid questions, you know. Honestly, on an international perspective, it's a very valid question. Someone looking at a geopolitical or, international scenario on political influences would really relate to this question and know that. But having said that, currently, in the past 3 days, so let's probably first jump into the last past 3 days. um, Probably India and the rest of the world would not know firsthand what Nepal and Nepali people have honestly been through. Can we go through that first? That would really,
Yes.
bring about a question of how to put this. So day one, so the Nepo kids happened. It was trending. Then there was a lot of social media ban, and everything happened in the past week. There was a lot of pressure from other ministers, even on the prime minister, even until Friday and Saturday.
For
Please
what?
get this ban off, otherwise there will be consequences. There was a lot of communication to and fro, but
But
capable
then I
only.
don't see any logic to it. I mean, if you were to curb uh, the internet ban, either you do it completely or you don't do it at all. And
Yep.
the most fatal mistake was that all anti-government, I wouldn't say anti-government, but yes, the new generation, which had so much anger against the government, they were coordinating on the Chinese apps. That
Yep.
is where they were able to congregate and collect at all the government sites with the
Yep.
material of arson. They targeted the ministers' houses who were in power
No. So
and who
that's
were not in
that's
power as
when
well.
Gen Z knew better. Gen Z obviously knew better than this, you know. So the Gen Z movement started 3 weeks back in Discord app.
Okay, it's
So
an
it's
app called
yeah,
Discord.
yeah. So the app is obviously called Discord, and it's more to do with NFTs and the groupism on blockchains and all of that, right? So this app is obviously very highly encrypted. I'm not sure which country is it from, but it's definitely not Chinese or any Asians. That is for sure. It is a very encrypted and seclusive app. It's more an upgraded, say, blockchain version of Telegram. So that's how it worked. You can only join the group with an invite. No era gera natukera can log in and join. So it's very
Oh,
seclusive. It's very, very limited and seclusive. Then you have to be approved to even have access to, a lot of other subgroups within that group. So everyone's names are approved. Not anybody anonymous was not approved.
So this is the screen that I'm sharing with the audience right now. And so just a second.
A lot of IT people would know this app.
So
They
so
generate.
this is the app. So this is
Yeah.
the app which uh, had all the communications and coordinations happening without the government noticing what they were doing.
So no, so there was this. They had already hashtags trending in Instagram, where Nepo Kids and XYZ, a lot of other things. So Discord was their back office. The front face was obviously Instagram, everyone, everywhere. Gen Z people, and probably, I am not too sure, but Gen Z had social media profile and they were trending from those sort of accounts. So outlets was that. Having said that, on Sunday, so apparently these guys had written a proper formal letter saying, we are Generation Z. There is so and so protest being held on 8th September, Monday. We are covering this sort of area from here to there. So Mandala is a place in Kathmandu. From there to the Sansad Bhavan, which was burned down, BICC. So that is a straight line of road, almost say 800 meters or 1 kilometer, probably not even more than that. So that stretch is where all the rallies and all the protests of Nepal happen usually. It's a very, it's a very well known, famous place for every single day there is a rally or something going on, definitely there. That is one of the main streets. That is exactly where next to it is Supreme Court. Next, on the front face of it is the district court. A lot of very important places are on the same street. So it's not very far away from that. Um, and within another 300-meter radius is the Singha Darbar, which was burned down, the historic palace of Nepal, where the parliament, sorry, where all the ministries were given offices and held. So that is a very, very ancient um, history which was burned down. So those places were not too far from this area. A. B. Every every concerned security personnel, say the Kathmandu Metropolitan CDO office, everyone was well informed that Generation Z is people under 28 years of age. They had clearly stated that we are under 28. Anybody higher to that or any XYZ group, please do not enter our protest. We will solely handle our protest. We have a two agenda, two basic two agenda protest this is. And the guy who had organized, there were a few other people as well, he had already come out in the public and obviously given an interview and mentioned clearly that we want a clean slate, we want a neat and clean government, free of any of these leaders. We do not want the older generation anymore. Because these four leaders who were aged between 70 to 80, literally, not even younger, had been taking their chances every few months. It's almost like a very home ground game for them. It almost looked like that. That was the feeling of our generation here. So that happened. This protest was very well planned since beginning. They had mentioned we will do a very peaceful protest. We do not have any ammunitions, arms, nothing on us, not even knives or chakus or churis or talwars, nothing, literally. Who were present in that? There were school going kids. And they were actually informed, put in your uniform, have your identity card on with the label, school label, and come
Hmm.
to this whole thing. People, the first day, on Monday, when things started unraveling, it was about to start on 11 a.m. By 12, there was nothing much happening. By 1, things took a turn. Things took a very ugly, bad turn. There were a lot of other people, like a lot of other supportive groups who were doing quite well, supporting these Gen Zs, acting as a back cushion. Because Generation Z obviously are the younger blood. They would somewhere also need back support from, people who were, say, 4 or 5 years elder to them, who have actually made a name in the industry or been somebody. So that's how it unfolded. There were thousands, 15, 16 odd thousand probably that day, in that street. When they approached the BICC, so Sansad Bhavan, as they call it in India, what happened was that is exactly when things started really not working. Uh, Orders were given to shoot, and we have seen videos. I'm not too sure. I was not present in the field myself live, but if the police were given orders to shoot to scare these people away, why were not the big question is why were they not shot on legs or anywhere below the hip? Why not a single person was shot below the hip? Everyone was shot either on the heart, the chest, or the face, or the head directly.
So you're trying to say these were deliberate attempts to instill
Yeah.
fear in the crowd by the police? Because I saw the tear gas when the cop was firing the tear gas, it is supposed to be at approximately 60 to 90, 80 degree, 60 to between 60 to 80 degrees, and depending upon the proximity of the crowd. But here, I mean, it was quite, I mean, astonishing that, he was aiming it parallel to the face height of the
Yes.
crowds. And probably those tear gases would have acted like bullets hitting the head. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that there have been fatalities because of the tear gases as well, not just
Yeah.
because of
Very
rubber
much.
bullets.
Very much. So this
So
happened,
there were
and
there were
then
casualties because of tear
then
gas.
were
Yes.
then were casualty. Sorry, then was a, a partial curfew immediately put banned on that particular stretch of area. So from exactly where I mentioned Mandala, 100 meters or 200 meters of the periphery, to Sansad Bhavan was exactly the curfew where it started first on the first hand. The second hand was it somehow led to the things unraveled really quickly within a second of fracture of time, where one thing led to the other, and people who were not even approaching the Sansad Bhavan, who were literally walking sideways. There are videos of it. I'm not even saying something that I heard. I have seen this on the video, where kids are really like tossing the main area and walking side by side. They have been shot dead, and they've been shot right here, right here. That kid literally was 14, 15 years old. When she was carried, there were drops of blood flowing from her. She was holding a pencil in hand that fell. There is a video of it. That is when humanity died. That is exactly when we, as the people of Nepal who were seeing live, actually announced our government was dead in our hearts. That was the turning point. It was something. I have a son of my own, a year and a half. I cannot imagine someday, 15-year-old child of someone who was going to the school and coming back was killed. And there are numerous numbers of it. Then there was an 18-year-old, another kid, who was shot at the heart. Why? Because he was running away from the crowd. What were
So
the
that
police
is
thinking?
that is that is one of the major
What?
reasons why
What?
all the police stations were on fire. All police
Yeah,
stations were burned.
it was absolute outrage.
The
Which parent
DSP
would?
was lynched to death.
So which parent would? Summer, you tell me. Even
Yeah,
in India,
yes, yes, yes.
which parent would really allow that to
To
happen?
happen. I mean, I totally
Really stay
understand
quiet.
the anger was justified. The anger was justified, but I mean, now the
And
DSP who gave the orders for firing,
not the
so
DSP.
who
So CDO we
somebody
call
would
it.
have.
Yeah, so CDO we call it in Nepal. It is Chief District Officer, right?
Okay,
And so whilst this happened on Monday, this was the series. By night, there was a all Kathmandu curfew, and things were really bad. It was very chaotic. These children managed to get home somehow, somewhere, and then we have received. That was. the moment when even I, as a person, as a mother, would decide, like, tomorrow, no matter what happens, even I am on street. We will not let them get away with this because at night something else happened. And this is nowhere to be seen on media. That is exactly one of the reasons I am here today, is because at least people deserve to know, the other side of the story. I can share with you a few videos where not just Kathmandu, there are Pirganj, border areas, there are few live videos from Bhairava, which I received later on to share within the community of Discord, um, where the police
If
have
you
gone.
can, you share it. You can share it with me. Let me
Yeah.
see.
So,
The people of India need to know, because we
yeah.
need to
So,
know that, because see, 90% the perception is people are putting up the Gen Z point of view, but as far as the what blunder the government has done, that needs
oh
to
my
be brought
God,
out,
the
and
blunder.
it'll
So
till
what?
you
So
don't
let me.
tell
Whilst I'm
us.
actually sending it to you, I'll be sharing it to you on Instagram. Whilst I'm sending it to you on Instagram, what happened was, um, there were three videos. I'll be honest with you, where somebody from the first floor of a house, a home, have been shoot like recording this on their mobile cameras, like
Mhm.
really literally hiding from a window. The ground floor, one of the police is killing a child, taking her out of the home and shooting dang dang dang,
Mm.
खींच
So
के
you're
निकाला.
trying to say that personal vengeance was also
So
dealt
they
with. I
police
mean,
have gone on a shooting spree inside homes and taken the kids out. Even a few mothers were dead. They were
but
shot because
why?
they were
I
trying
mean,
to protect the
what
child.
was the reason
They are
for
not
it?
true. So they were on a shooting spree. That's only the justification we received.
But that's murder. That's pure
That
murder.
is outright murder. You cannot shoot a child anywhere. And
How old
for
were these child who were shot by the Nepalese police?
18, 19, 20, 22,
And
what do we say?
they belong to decent families. They were from humble families.
Yeah, normal families, just basic families जो hand to mouth करते हैं वही, middle class families. That's it. It's
So
not.
basically, police wanted to set up an example to instill fear that see what we can
So
do.
yeah.
So don't.
So the
So
government started underestimating these power of generation, and they tried to shut us using these bullets. Initially, they mentioned the rubber bullets were used, but when these kids were taken to the hospitals have come out, the authorities, and shown that these are not rubber bullets, these are real bullets, and so people have died.
so you're claiming the cops were actually firing live rounds instead of
Yes,
rubber
yes,
bullets
yes, yes. And
at
you'll be
very
seeing it.
close range.
So you'll be seeing it in this video that I have just shared with you. Okay, yeah, this one on Instagram. Please check your Instagram.
I mean, this is overwhelming. I mean, nobody knew this. Nobody knew
Yeah.
this.
So this has happened.
And
This
this has
has
not come out in the news. It's not come out anywhere.
So this is exactly bingo why I'm here. There are two videos that I've shared. Please share it with your audience. And this was the scariest part. Yesterday, the country was burned down because last night, I even had a conversation with somebody very close in my family where, I was questioning, I don't know if I want to live in this country with my son or not. Someday, I think I would want to escape because I don't want him to be living in this generation, seeing the life of fear of living, literally. भाई हम कैसे जीते जब हमको पता ही नहीं है कि कल हमको घर से निकाल के मार देंगे लोग just because we joined one of the protests say it's
Mm.
not a justification to what we did yesterday, but imagine more than 1,000 people are in the hospital right now. I'm even saying less. 30 people, 30 kids have been killed. 30 till today, till this hour. seven or eight are really undergoing very, very borderline edge, living to live, living to fight for the next minute. We are not sure what's going on.
This is the video you have sent, in which, if we can, again, if the audience is watching, so these cops are actually chasing these young kids.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. So these are the visuals. So these are the cops who've come right at the doorstep of a shopkeeper and are literally scaring everybody away.
Is it playing?
And
I
yeah,
can't
it
see
is
anything.
playing. Okay, wait, just let me just check again. Just a second. Now is it showing? I hope so.
No, definitely not to me.
Yeah. So these are the visuals which somebody is taking
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
their home's window, and they're zooming into the police who are going door to door, house to house, and are probably
They've
questioning every
No,
resident.
no, they've shot somebody inside. I have a
Okay,
video from the inside which I'm not able to find.
okay, reports are coming in. There are multiple sources that something serious may happen tonight. Stay at home. Do not go outside on any circumstances. Keep your family close and avoid any unnecessary
No,
movement.
please put the audio on for this one. You'll hear guns. Did you play the next video that I sent you? The first link.
Yeah, I'm going to just play the second video as well. Just a second. Okay. Uh, we have one more. Just a second. So you can see that they're clearly firing at the crowds, and
Yeah.
it's parallel to the chest and the crowds.
Okay, I'm not too sure if the video is being played.
Wait, I will just,
Yeah, 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 it's loading now.
yeah, I'll just share that. This is
Yeah.
again a shocking one.
So that's exactly what I was mentioning. And this was midnight. Where do you see protest happening there? Why were they shooting somebody inside the house? This is how people were killed. This is a 19, 20-year-old kid. And you see the bullet, it was not below the hip.
Yeah, it's right in the head.
So, that is exactly why what happened was not justified, but, it somehow had to happen, is how I would like to put it. So, till Monday night, even till yesterday morning, say Tuesday, today is Wednesday, right? So, Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock, I don't think anybody in this country has slept. Everyone was questioning, how will we survive the next day? They will come for us even at our houses, inside our houses. That's how bad it was. Until,
Don't you think they will now not do that?
no, then something happened yesterday.
What?
Yesterday was a whole new next level of, I would not like to put it as a protest, but something changed. Something changed. There were messages in the morning flowing since 6 a.m. All the student unions, the nursing alumni, the engineering alumni of so many medical colleges, so many engineering colleges, so many, even the um, say, younger generation foundations of these political parties, everybody resigned. And there was only one statement that today we are with Generation Z. We stand for Generation Z. Today we will be on the grounds. And that is exactly what happened. Every parent was on the ground. In fact, yesterday morning, there was a lot of propagation being turned around saying, today the protest is not about Gen Z. We are not Gen Z. We are the father and mother of Gen Z. Exactly that was used. And, that is exactly what happened. We have seen as old as, 75-year-old, we call them Bas in Nepali, Ba. So, the grandparents, the grandmothers, literally taking, small pebbles and walking to take justice for their children who were killed, or, who had the fear that their children would be killed because what they saw the day forward
So do
was
you,
really.
does Nepal, I mean, does the Gen Z see these 25, as of now, 25 people who are no more with us,
30.
the martyrs of the revolution?
Yes, it is in our conscience and ethics that, if someone misses out, at least one has to take over and say that, give that honorary to those who lost their lives. It was very, very unfortunate. It was heartbreaking, heart wrenching. I have no words for it because they were innocent people. They fought with pencils against guns. That is exactly how I would like to put it. We so
Now, I totally understand your mission, but you tell me that how is China positioning itself during these crises?
as
How
of now,
are they looking
no
at it?
other country has really made a remark. I mean, they have obviously put out condolences and, tried messaging saying de escalate the situation further. otherwise this would really escalate into a very international global crisis or things like that. That has happened, definitely. But having said that, we have had obviously support from our Nepali residents who are living outside, coming forth saying, we will protest for you in whichever country we are. So we have seen protests of
So
few
you got
thousand people.
support from the NRNs.
Yes,
NRNs.
we call them NRNs. We have a lot of support from NR. I mean, not we. So Generation Z has also mentioned, came upright and mentioned, we do not need funds. We do not need anybody's help. We have our goals set clear. We will still stand by, even if it is 15,000 people there and one is standing. We will still stand for it and fight for it. But we do not want anyone's help. But yesterday was obviously everyone, the whole country went to the streets, and exactly what happened was what happened. That is exactly how it unfolded. But
So
in the
so
morning, what happened was,
yeah.
because there was no, by 9 a.m., there was no straight point to, yesterday's protest, it was not scheduled. So no one knew where to go because there was a curfew. We could not step out. But then all of a sudden by 9:30 there were messages from different people saying, there was one logic, that it doesn't need to be curfew. We do not need to be reaching exactly that point of mandala. Let's surrender whichever neta or leaders, political leaders, houses are nearby to our areas, or let's go to at least the main road and reach one of the junctions, say chowks, and protest there. That was the only message that was given out in one language, one word, one sentence, and that, look how it turned out to be. um, People
I want to
went on.
ask you, I also want to ask you, what about the prisons? What about the prisoners who have run away, who've taken advantage,
Yeah,
and the Supreme Court being burned down,
yeah.
all the proofs against all the criminals of Nepal has vanished overnight, and there
So
is
it
no
more
backup
looks
to it.
like, it more looks like, because this was
Orchestrated.
at a very national level, the intensity was such that, no one could focus on one single point in the country. It was outspread like anything. Every city was burning down,
Can there be a
basically.
possibility of Balen Shah being instigated by the notorious
No,
element as well at the same time? No?
absolutely not. No.
Okay. Okay.
Because even meanwhile that was happening, he was putting
So
out,
basically, the
yes,
criminals and all the people who were in legal trouble in Nepal took advantage of the situation and got all the proofs, evidence.
we do
They
have
burned
some.
down the Supreme Court. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
most
yeah, yeah,
pious, and I
yeah,
mean, governments fall. And it is usually the Supreme Court that then takes a call after the military or before the
yeah.
military, even before the military, in fact, not even
So,
after the military.
so
So they
what
are in constant,
messaging
constant,
looks like,
yes.
the messaging looks like from our end right now is, the Gen Z were not involved clearly in the firelighting or burning down or any of that sort of violence.
Then who
One.
was? Then who
So
was?
somebody else uh, took a turn,
Like whom?
the
Like whom?
opportunity, probably one of the, so because there was not only
There is a
four
very distinct figure of a party personnel. I think the party's name is RPP or some, there's some
RSP.
RSP. So they're saying that there is this individual whose
Yeah, we
visuals have been caught,
have a lot of pictures
who's a
surrounding.
bald guy with a beard, who
Yeah,
actually took the arson material into these,
yeah.
government buildings and set them on fire. So I mean, is there going to be any action on these people at all, or no?
The army and the police have started working on it. So as we speak, the numbers are 6,000 people, apparently 6,600 people from the prisons have ran away, not just in Kathmandu, but outside as well. So from different cities and towns of the country. But as because this was yesterday, so a lot of things like, even the prisoners from inside the prison took the opportunity in hand, lighted fire on themselves, and started outspreading and ran away. That is exactly what happened in a few prisons. That is the news that was reported this morning, in a large number of prisons, and which held a large number of prisons, like 2,300 and all of that. That was one part of it. So both sides worked, people took opportunity of whatever they could. They saw probably, अब आगे रास्ता है नहीं, हम निकल जाएंगे, कौन पकड़ेगा, देश तो जल रहा है, तो निकल गए भाई, ये भी हुआ है. दैट इज
A
वन
very
पार्ट.
frank question to you, Grace.
Yes.
Do you think the United States and Western powers are trying to shape the outcome of this by any means?
Not yet, till as of today. Not yet. Not yet. But
What makes
there
you
might
say
be
that?
a
I
large.
mean, Balin Shah has had very close ties with Americans. There have been
Not
dollars
really. Not
found. There's
really.
been, I mean, there
No,
are raids taking place presently in Nepal. They're trying
no,
to
there are
nab
no
the
raids as of
people.
such. There are no
Okay.
raids as of such. That is something I don't know where it is
So
burning
do you
from.
think the army let this happen? The
Yeah.
army let this happen?
So, okay, going back to the story yesterday, till 4 o'clock, till 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. So everything started at 11. People were starting to, break curfews and try to get to reach to one destination at least, nearby to their homes or nearby to their leaders' homes. They started like making a ghera of the house, like really surrounding it, and then they started, like, really throwing stuff inside, literally step by step. It went very well. That is how it was orchestrated. It looks very organized and orchestrated, but that's not exactly how I would like to put it. It was not orchestrated, but it was use of opportunity for everybody. Basically everyone was frustrated in many ways, and that took a turn. But Gen Z was definitely not the front line of organizing and, doing any of this. They were definitely trying to bring down the government and bring in a cleaner, no corrupt situation in the leadership. That was one of their demands. But this led to, something else in total, where they have completely wiped out the names of four major leaders and the corrupt system that was already in place and in very deeper roots. We cannot even begin to imagine the kind of root it held in Nepal. And so, how I can probably relate to it, I am not too sure if that was the sentiment or not. But my version of it is, you know, Supreme Court, Akhtiyar Durupyog, as we call it, so inland revenue taxes, no, so CIA basically of Nepal. Those two places were one of the most corrupt places, as people call it, and they burned it down because it had a corruption notation to it. There was a lot of things going on behind undertaking money to, dabao a case, and all of that was happening. So this was really the place too.
So you're trying to
um
say the law went rogue,
yeah.
the cops went rogue. It was
No.
just the
So by
army. It was
by
just
one
because
no no
see,
by 1 o'clock, it was only Nepal
no,
police and the
I want to
protest.
ask you.
Army
I
did
want
not
to
step
ask
in.
you one thing.
Army did not step in until 10 p.m.
But there
yesterday.
was a time when even the cops backed out.
Yeah,
When
so
was
4
that?
p.m., around 3:30 to 4 p.m. And not because, when you're in the field and you're in this massive thing, obviously one cop would not have an understanding or idea of what the other stationed cop is doing, right? So it did not
Are
obviously
you
happen
trying
at the
to
same
say the
time.
intercommunications had snapped, or there
Yeah.
were jammers? There were
No, there was
jammers
no
put
jam.
in place.
Nothing like that. But when you're like literally, like, pulling the bullets or stopping crowd, you'd obviously not be on the call asking what
So
the
you're
other
trying
team.
to say the police got overwhelmed and left the scene.
Yeah. So some people, in fact, there are videos, I can share it with you later, where, police have actually did namaskar and like let down and given them the space. And these people have really clapped and helped the police get on the police van and buses and waved goodbye, and they've left. There are 2 3 videos of this happening. It was really quite the
So we can
turnaround.
say that there are people within the police who were for this and who did not want to get involved
They
in this.
probably did realize the mistake they made in the 24 hours, like, literally killing
The 19
kids.
people that they killed.
Killing kids. How can you kill a kid? I mean, this is not even a war zone. How can a government kill a kid? The whole world has not seen it. This is something not even, you know, enemies would do. This is really outrageous. This is, I don't know which country can define it. How can a prime minister let this happen in his own reign? And he has given the order, is what we're getting.
But what I want to ask you is, why did the people of Nepal get stuck in electing these corrupt politicians?
Because because
And
there were
why
no
did
other
the king not intervene?
politics.
I mean, as far as I know, as per the data is concerned, in February, King Gyanendra Shah gave a speech to the masses in which he was, lashing out with all his anger, and he was outrageous onto the corruption part in Nepal. He called out on the corruption part. And do you think somehow you think the king would have been involved in funding or
No. The king always
tracking
has
somebody
by
somewhere?
loving the Nepalese people, and I honestly would not put him in that genre. Definitely not. He
Where
has
do you
no time.
see the king of Nepal? Where do you see the monarchy? Because majority of these years Nepal has respected and gone by the monarchy. It has been a very mature monarchy which has been for the people of and by the people of Nepal who've selected and always wanted to be with the king until the shooting took place. And after that, they protested against King Gyanendra Shah, and the king very solemnly addressed the crowd with all honor, and he honored the what the verdict of the people. He stepped down without any force, without
And
a bullet being fired.
there is a very, very famous um, line going on in the Nepalese pride right now, that, the realization that king was always the king. Why did we let this happen? It was us who let this happen to us. We saw 20 years of, you know, so many politicians trying to become the king, trying to snatch power from each other. Whilst when the king was there, nothing of this happened ever. No child was killed. Not a
What was the difference in the economies, the corporate cultures when king was there and without the king? Where did the country benefit more? Where was it? Where was the
So,
benefit?
in terms of benefit on privatization, it almost look, then the king had a lot of respect, and we had a lot of respect and discipline in terms of what the king bought. But currently, whatever is going on right now, it almost looks like when there's no discipline, there's no boundaries to it. It's worst. Right now is exactly what we are feeling. We do not have boundaries, even from the government side, or even to a bad side of the government or corruption. There's no boundary to it. There are like 20 odd leaders trying to become the king. We would really like to have just one king, and that's it. you know that's one of the feelings of the government, definitely. Whilst the 20 years of king becoming so humble, staying where he is, not asking for any power, any attention whatsoever, not even a single day. Summer, we're not even.
Were his assets seized by the state?
No, 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 no. So
Nothing.
he was very clear. He had really good businesses even back then, before he was a king. And even now, it's his. There's no difference to that.
How are
But
his connections with India? Does he have assets in India? Does he have businesses
we're
in
not
India?
sure of if he has had assets in India or any other country. But what I know of is that, when the king was in power, he only had one vision towards the country, that Nepali people are my people, my family, my blood. I am the father, and I need to maintain this country anyhow, at any cost. He would maintain good relations with each of the country. There was very well maintained distance
Yes,
as
there
well
were
as
very
closeness.
cordial relations.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there was really good bonding of countries between many countries, back then. Looking at it now, we are not too sure which country are we facing towards whenever there is a donation coming in. It's that sort of lineage at the moment. it's exactly what had been going on since the past few years. So China has been giving up few aids. We would probably open up a few more borders and things to China. India had been doing so and so. We would give up something for India. That sort of thing, give and take was happening in terms of a lot of money and funds involved. And that was something definitely not very arching, it was not good. As a country, you cannot sway to left and right and center wherever
I want to
you see.
come to the question now that do you see Nepal becoming a proxy battleground for larger powers? If you don't come to a settlement soon, you think it will go the Syria way or like it's controlled chaos right now? You
It is a
think this
very
controlled chaos can go out of control?
so no, so since what happened
I
is,
mean, I mean, there is nothing left to go out of control. I mean, your Supreme Court has
bingo.
been burned down. Your
Bingo.
Parliament has been gone. I mean, your third richest business person in the country, his house has been ransacked and looted. The present sitting ministers, their homes have been burnt down, and probably one of your former prime minister's wife, unfortunately, was victim to
That
arson and burning of the house. Though the crowd did not specifically target her, but it was unfortunate that when they set the house on fire, she got entangled into that, and it was very unfortunate. And those were very chilling scenes that we saw.
yeah.
And I mean, you really think looking at these scenes of violence, the Western countries can exploit it in UN and can try to impose of putting
um,
sanctions on Nepal,
that would
anything
have
like
been
that.
that would have been the case, but something changed today as well. I mean, talk about changing. So yesterday was the scene where tables turned, the police backed up, and then people showed their power. People showed their power for the first ever time in Nepal's history, and they showed their power without anyone's direction. They did what they liked. There was no stopping. But this obviously had to end somewhere, right? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m., this happened. By 8 p.m., the Gen Z were already back home. They were already putting up messages saying, we are back home. We are not sure who are on the streets. Please take care. The army stepped in. So since 10 p.m. yesterday, the army has taken control of the security and law and order of Nepal formally, and they have put a curfew in place. And since last night, there have been no lootings, no killings, no backlashes, nothing going on. So we have already seen now 26 hours of no violence in Nepal.
But
Nothing.
then the prisoners are at large.
So the prisoners ran away. Some of them surrendered today. Some of them were caught today. So as of today, we have 660 prisoners. They were caught, and
Okay,
they're
so
back.
they've come back and they've
Yeah, yeah,
resurrendered themselves.
yeah, yeah. So that's one thing. The second thing is also that this morning there was a lot of chaos that, we've seen two different sides in 2 days. In 48 hours, we've seen the left and the right and the center. We don't know. This morning, we were eagerly waiting, Gen Z would probably step up and now talk to the army. And that's how the expectation was built. The first thing Gen Z announced was 7:30 a.m. Let's go clean up the country. The mess we have created, we need to clean. Everyone was on street cleaning. They were
I mean,
with the
people are comparing this with what
they were
Bangladesh
with
also did.
the brooms, gloves, and cleaning. Even the Sansad Bhavan was being cleaned. Apparently, where they've created the burnings, the tires were burned, the buildings were burned, and people were on roads trying to clean up everything to at least give out a positive message that we'll clean up our own mess now. We are
Now,
here.
where do you feel Nepal heading from here now? I mean, you have a chief justice
Yeah.
who has been impeached. You've selected her. I don't know whether there are going to be legal glitches with that. In case
Yes,
she's not
there
the
looks
right
like legal
person,
glitches, and she's
who
not yet
would,
formalized. She's not yet formalized. Let me put that out there.
so
It is
what are the
not.
options on the table? What are the options on the table?
We do have a lot of names, but apparently, Gen Z have put out 5, 6 names, where
And they
there
would
is
be
a doctor. a doctor involved, a doctor. He's called the god of eyesight of Asia.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
literally the god of eyesight in Asia. His name is Dr. Sandhu Kruit. His
Okay.
name is coming out. Balendra's name was coming out, but Balendra has not yet actively taken the lead or accepted this. So he had the opportunity and he did not yet accept it. One, there was Madam Sushila's name. She accepted, I suppose, but there are a lot of other backlashes going on. So the negotiations and tables are still open. There's nothing formally finalized, is what I know as of what's being announced in my country. There are other names like Harka Sampang. He's another mayor of one of the cities towards the west. And then there was a name also he is one person who took electrical board onto a very, very right direction in the past few years. He was just taken out of power a few months back. His name is Kulman Ghising. He's really a genuinely nice, very clean, very hardworking candidate. He has proven himself just like Balen. He has filled the shoes very, very, very well and done what could
So
not
is he
even.
the front runner right now, other than the king? Because we're not getting the king right now
So,
into this.
what we're receiving from him right now is that he is ready to lead on as the advisor and the overlooker to the parliamentary board, whoever is being called out in the cabinet of ministers in the interim government for this time of until the elections happen within the next 6 or 8 or 10 months. That is the time frame we're looking at. So 6 months to 12 months is what the Gen Zs have demanded for a next election to happen, and interim current basic government for now. And that's what we're looking at as of. So we have few 5, 7, 10 options in the hand where we have spoken. What we've heard of is the Gen Z. Even today, the Discord channel, the communication was pretty open. There were 4,200 Gen Zs involved in the discussion that went live. Even on Facebook it was live. So it was so clean, transparent, so neatly done. Yes, there was obviously discussions on, okay, why to not do this, why to not go that sort of healthy discussions, I would say. I would put it out like that. So that has happened, definitely. That is a very good point, genuinely good point. But as of today, what happened today was definitely a new beginning. I would not like to take away this day from. It is a historic, beautiful day for all Nepalis, where we've seen the cleanest of country. We have no KP Oli, we have no Sher Bahadur Deuba, we have no Prachanda, we have no Baburam Bhattarai, none of these, leaders where we have heard multiple languages of corruption. None of them are in power and they are in hiding. So that is
Will
one.
you do, will you commit a mistake of getting any of these individuals back ever again?
I don't think so. We've learned the biggest lesson of our life. Any, um, you know, you would definitely not feed a snake who has bitten you many times. I would really put it out like that. We've learned our lesson. I think it's probably other countries who should learn this lesson from our biggest blunder of what happened, how it added up, what led to this, and how it unfolded. Because, it's not always very possible for a country. We've seen Sri Lanka. How did it go down even after the revolution? Was there a drastic, dramatic change? No, they're still fighting for it. So we definitely are very careful of our next steps. Hence, today was a day of a lot
What are
of,
the timelines that you're seeing for stability? What are the exact timelines are we looking at here?
as of today, I am not too sure of stability, but the army has imposed a curfew and nishedagya, as they call, till Friday. So we do, but the curfew is not very upright, strict, like shoot at straight sight sort of a space. But we can obviously go out for medicines and other very essential life purposes. That is open, no problem. But other than that, they are really taking it slow and forward. They have maintained 24 hours of peace is really something remarkable that they've maintained to attain yesterday. And that is, I believe, the next core few days are going to be very essential to maintain peace, harmony, stillness whilst the front table negotiations talks of the stakeholders, the demand list, everything has been really put out and discussed and set, and everything is moving forward in that direction. So I'm sure that is one of that is happening. Second, the country in Nepal, the biggest asset I believe is, um, Gen Z did have a lot of backing, from the families, well educated people, mentors, and stuff. So, hence, that would definitely not probably let external countries or third influences really put down for now. If that,
What is the lesson learned by Nepo kids? You think they'll come back to Nepal, or they would fear for their lives,
I'm sure
or
for
I
the next
mean,
few years, everyone would fear for their lives because honestly, we only saw the beatings and no one actually died from the Gen Z's side. So none of the Gen Z's harmed anybody, and none of them died, apart from one, obviously the death where one of the former misses of the prime minister was burned. She was being taken to the hospital. She was treated, where she lost her life against sepsis. So yeah, that happened. But
don't you think that shook up the military and the police when they realized that a person of such a senior stature, even if
no,
of the former prime minister,
no,
the lady
because
has been killed
this happened
by the
just
mob.
few hours back, today. This happened today, few hours back. She did not die yesterday.
Okay,
But
so
until
she
but
passed
by
away today, you say.
Yes, yes. So, but by night, the military had taken over. They had already seen what had been done. And then there was also a message from Nepal police government saying, sorry, Nepal police put up yesterday saying, same time when the army took over, saying, it was a very unfortunate event what happened. We are really, truly, very deeply hurt and moved by what has happened. We would really like to put ourselves out there to really maintain this country and get it back up on its feet. We would like your help for it, is what it put out basically in
So
a very
basically,
form.
the police succumbed to the
Yeah.
lawlessness and the leaderless administration
Yes.
and the fallout
Yes.
of the government.
Yes. It did.
So, in a way, Nepal was running in an auto mode with nobody seriously calling the shots other than everyone busy uh, looting the money from the masses. And they were
No.
quiet till
So the
nothing
people who were
erupted.
calling the shots were the rich, the upper class,
So,
who had money.
my question to you is now, are the rich people, the upper class in Nepal, safe? Number one. Number two, do you see the coming back of the children of these politicians as politicians
No.
ever in Nepal politics?
I'm very, I would probably
Certain
like to see that someday happen. But as of today, it is very
it's
unlikely.
not
Very,
happening.
very unlikely. Very unlikely. No.
So basically, Nepal is shut doors on the corrupt people, the
Yes.
corrupt government officials. But sadly, if I connect the dots, Supreme Court being burned down, all the proofs, everything being vanished in arson, is also an attempt by the corrupt to
That is
go
one.
scot free.
Well, that is one thing to put it
आई
somehow,
मीन
but
जलती हुई आग में कोई भी घी डाल लेगा कि चलो
yeah,
सबका फायदा हो रहा है तो हम भी फायदा कर लेते हैं.
yeah. But then also that, because Nepal government right now at the moment was not just 100% manual. We had a lot of things online, but the data centers are safe. The data centers have not been harmed. There has been a statement put out that the data centers of the Nepal government, where the ministry used to have the servers, are
Hmm.
not touched. It was not inside that building. It was somewhere very far off. One for one.
So yeah, so
That is one.
understood. So basically, to sum it up now, we already been in this podcast for approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah,
So, to sum it up, all I can say is that, Grace, I wish Nepal a speedy and a stable comeback. But the fight
absolutely.
is against time. The more time you take, the more I certainly believe the American deep state, even you know it, the
Yeah,
American deep state has its hand in this. And
absolutely.
and we Indians, as connected neighbors by religion, by sentiments, by emotions,
By
are
borders,
definitely being shaken up with what is unfolded in Nepal. And
absolutely.
I
I
mean,
just
to the
hope that this rage does not come across the whole of Asia, South Asia, because it started from Sri Lanka, it went to Bangladesh, and now Nepal. I mean, this was very alarming. I looking at it like that, even the ministers took it very lightly, very very lightly. बहुत हल्के में लिया, बहुत underestimate किया इन लोगों को, बहुत they did not even think of it as people. That is the mistake they made. When a politician, a ruling politician, does not look at its um, janata as the main key stakeholder, what do you think they must be thinking on their heads? They probably must be so self-centered that they not even understood where this is coming from. If they had understood, probably this would not have happened. This would have stopped long back. This is a big question coming up to the whole of Asia right now. Honestly, I don't know where this is going to go. Left, right, south, east, west, we have no clue. But it's really, really hard for each government or each country to take its own curb and, maintain and contain everything and restart exactly as you mentioned, against the time, against the world, where we don't know who is going to interfere, who's going to land next, and who's going to do what in
where do you
that.
see
I,
India's role in this, Grace? You
hmm?
think you think India will play a major role in helping Nepal stabilize after the people know that the people of Nepal have now realized they've been played at the hands of the Chinese. There's been a lot of corruption. There's been a lot of allotment of projects. There's been a lot of debt that Nepal has been struggling with against China. A lot of unemployment, and at the same side, the Americans are wanting to set up some military presence in Bangladesh or any other place in and around China. So, Nepal is the most, appropriate candidate, more preferable than India as well. So, these factors are definitely going to count. And to sum it up, all I can tell the audience is that Nepal stands at a crossroads, caught between its fragile democracy, economic challenges, and the pressure of powerful neighbors. The
Yeah,
unrest we see today is not just about protests in the streets. It's not, but you see, it's about the deeper struggle to build a stable, inclusive, and independent future, which
yeah,
has always been disrupted 99% by China. And there's been a lot of struggles because of corruption. The ministers of Nepal have looked away from India many times. And you see, whether Nepal emerges stronger or slips into further instability will depend on how its leaders, people, and the international community respond in weeks ahead. And one thing is certain, that the story of Nepal's unrest is being written as we speak. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned as we continue to track how the crisis unfold. And Grace, thank you so much for you to have come. And I also want to tell the audiences that this is not the last of Grace that we are seeing here. We will have a more cryptic, very short, brief, 40 minutes podcast. And I would probably keep this recording for maybe for 48 hours, because I do not want this to be put up online because of the current situation which is unfolding. And
Yeah.
so, keeping many other factors in mind, I wouldn't be comfortable in putting this recording for a prolonged time online. And I will certainly disclose to the guests which guest we will have next only after confirmations, because things are
Yeah.
very fragile. The said individual who was supposed to join us is presently in a very important meeting, which is very decisive in terms of whom to select as the
Where the
future
nation is going.
leader. Yes, the future leader of Nepal. So he is a very critical and an important person in this. And I certainly feel that all's well that ends well. And I certainly, I, I confidently believe that I do not see violence moving on from here. It's going to be a more controlled manner of
Yes.
curfew being lifted and life coming back to normal for
No, I mean,
Nepal.
even as
And
of today, there was no violence, no killing, no looting, nothing like that. I mean, we've seen the TV, and obviously, what's shown in the TV was yesterday, not today. There are live updates today. Oh, could you, if you have 2 seconds, could you share the video of being cleaned where people jharu
uh,
laga rahe?
that I will probably make an effort to put it in the next session that we do,
Sure,
because
sure.
that I have not loaded it. So
All
I
right.
will load it separately and then I'll put it up. But people have seen the visuals on news, it's everywhere. And we Indians wish our brothers and sisters from Nepal a very, very quick and a speedy recovery. And we pray and thank God for the realization that you actually have realized who your actual friends are during your tough times and who your enemies are, and who have been playing with the emotions of your country
Yeah.
and fueling corruption with money always and every time. And I certainly believe that, I wish Nepal a very stable future, a very
Thank
prosperous future. And the quicker you select your leader, the better and safer it will be, rather than falling into the American
Absolutely.
deep state and a tug of war between the Americans and the Chinese. So the sooner the better. I wish you all the best, Grace. Thank you, audiences. So this was what I had to present to you. This was just a detailed synopsis of what a individual citizen of Nepal has experienced and witnessed over the last few days. And just imagine, few photographs on Instagram by Nepo kids has actually toppled a government which was in power. So I wouldn't say it's the blunder of the politicians. They already were very blunderous people who were into corruption and crime, but it was their children who called out by exposing the state money and the assets and the exploitation of the taxpayers' money, where a child was probably of the Minister of Law seen wearing a $45,000 watch and flaunting it online, which instigated many people of Nepal. Similar was the case in a newlywed couple belonging to a very high ranking politician, who again was serving food in utensils made of silver and a very lavish lifestyle, and doing cheers with wine glasses. So these displays of public show needs to be controlled, especially when a country is going through a lot of turmoil economically, socially, and where people are actually struggling to support their family, to put food on their table, at least 2 meals a day, not even three. And the country is really desperate for an economy to revive. And at the same time, the leaders that they chose were all corrupt. They rotated their positions and powers, and they kept on and on looting the people of Nepal. They kept handling the contracts to the Chinese and not even fighting for the employment of the Nepalese youth. And by allowing the Chinese to bring in their labor for all the projects, So as a result, there was barely any foreign exchange coming in. There were no creation of employment. And as Grace said, there was approximately 30 to 40,000 Nepalese citizens leaving approximately on daily to weekly basis to the countries in Gulf and in Southeast Asia for jobs which are laborious, which are difficult to sustain, which are very challenging, and they have to stay away from their families for maybe many months or maybe more than a year, up to 18 months, and then they come back home and then they give the money to their families for a decent life, and again after a few months they get back to work. So you see, the country and the citizens of Nepal have actually been betrayed and deceived by the corrupt politicians. And I certainly believe this is a revolution of change for the betterment of Nepal. And I am very certain and confident that Nepal will have its inclination and regard for India, and we shall work hand in glove with Nepal for its stability, construction, and development of Nepal economically, socially, culturally, in every manner possible that India can afford. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying on and watching our podcast. I certainly believe it is brought to light the actual instigation and initiation points which was not being brought out. It also exposed a application called Discord app, which is an American app in which very encrypted messages are passed on, and there are very only on references people are added, and that is how the chain reaction keeps adding people, and how the Chinese communication applications were still working despite the Western countries applications being banned. Probably this was the triggering point for the American deep state to fuel in the money and the people of influence for this revolution to take place. And it is very critical now to see which person comes to power. India definitely would want uh, uh, His Excellency King Gyanendra Shah Ji to take his rightful place, and to get back the monarchy, the respectable monarchy, which the people of India also acknowledge and respect wholeheartedly. And their chief of staff of Nepal is an honorary chief of staff for the Indian armed forces. So we go by whatever the chief of staff of Nepal tells and updates India about the current situation. And India is a forever friend, especially during Nepal's difficult times. India is going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters of Nepal, and we shall come out of this together. Thank you, Jai Hind, for watching, and stay tuned for another very critical episode with Mrs. Grace and one more gentleman whose name I am withholding due to the extreme importance of his role in getting in the next leader for the stability of Nepal and to lead Nepal to a brighter future. So his name I shall still withhold, and will get him directly onto the show when the time is correct and it will be intimated to the audiences. As of now, definitely the present Chief Justice has legal complications of her continuing for stabilizing the government. So, right now, as we speak, there is a meeting being held in Nepal to decide who the next favorable candidate can be, other than the former Chief Justice of Nepal. And I am very confident that Nepal will be heading into a very bright future sooner. Thank you and Jai Hind.